Hey everyone, John Henry here, SlingshotFutures.com. Welcome to the Daily Futures Market Outlook for tomorrow's trading. Tomorrow being the 27th of the month. Plenty of movement today, that's for sure. Lots of market movement, lots of market just rally, really, to the upside on the index markets especially. Just a rip to the upside. Before we jump into the charts, as always, make sure to scroll down on SlingshotFutures.com, click on the Join the Daily Outlook newsletter. From there, you're going to be able to register for our email newsletter list. You'll be notified every time one of these videos comes out. Along with that, in the email, we go over things that we just don't have time to talk about in the video, and that's going to be everything from stocks, options, crypto, you name it. If it's moving, it's going to show up in that newsletter at some point, so make sure to get a hold of that so you don't miss anything ever again. Along with that, click on the Live Trade Room subscription trial info. From there, you can sign up for a free 3-day trial in the Live Trade Room, so you can kind of hang out with us for a couple days, get your toes a little bit wet, see what we're all about, see how we're approaching the markets, ask some questions. It's just a really good way to get an idea of what all is going on, so make sure to sign up for that if you haven't done so already. Now, looking at the movement for today, we've got a lot of really good movement. I mean, everything is just, man alive. We have a very strong rip to the upside. Starting off with the euro, big bull breakout to the upside, breaking above not only the descending wedge, but also the mildly ascending wedge here, and showing very good bullish movement to the upside. Buyers are heavily breaking out, and even though we held this resistance for a good 8 hours or so, that has not stopped this monstrous rally to the upside. Now, we do have a couple areas of interest and objectives to the upside. It's going to be 25,620. That's going to be the objective to the upside, or at least a price target. Now, if we kind of combine these, right, horizontal resistance coming in with the channel highs, and those channel highs were derived from A to B, C looking for D. We're coming in a little bit late, right? That cross has already happened. That happened way back there. You know, we're about a day and a half, 2 days late for that one. But one thing that we can look at is possibilities of the all-time highs, well, or the highs at least of that major swing back a couple days ago, about a month ago now. That does line up pretty well with the top of that channel. Now, it would have to be a very strong bullish move to the upside, so we're probably going to be a little bit late to the party on this one as well. But as long as we get that bullish continuation to the upside, we're going to be around the ballpark of that area, and that's going to give us a nice zone of resistance, you know, around 25,800. Again, if we're a little bit late to the party, might be a little bit further up, but that is an area of confluence that we want to keep our eyes on. For the most part in the overnight session, I'm looking for the buyers to wait for a slight pullback. Maybe it's a one-candle pullback, you know, dipping below the most recent bull bar at around 25,125. Buyers buying into that. I mean, either way, it's really hard to not see a secondary leg to the upside on this. So looking for the overnight session, maybe a slight pullback, and then buyers jumping in and shoving the market back up. Over on gold, we have a very strong rally to the upside, breaking above major resistance from earlier at 1350.8, and I mean, that's not a small level. That held the market down for a good, you know, almost 24 hours worth, if you consider that test right there. Didn't quite hit it, but one of those close enough kind of scenarios. They missed it by just a little bit, and the market just got stalled completely underneath that area before finally getting a breakout move to the upside. So what that tells us is that we have a strong breakout move above a level of resistance. And what do we know about resistance? Well, resistance usually flip-flops into support when the market breaks above it. So I'm looking for the overnight session to pull back into support at 50.8, and then looking to bounce that back up to around retesting the highs. You know, primary objective is going to be retesting 1356, and we get a little bit more bullishness. I mean, conservative area would be around 1354.7. Either way, though, we're still looking at about a 5-6 point pop off of that 50.8 if they want to play that area. Now, that said, you know, zooming out a little bit, we can obviously see that we have first leg up, second leg up, third leg up, and they are getting smaller along the way, and it's creating a situation of a 3-push wedge top. Now, a wedge top, don't let the name deceive you. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to go collapsing down and break down to new lows and everything falls apart. What that means is we're likely going to see a correction in the near future. Now, what that tells me personally is that I see a breakout of a major level of resistance. I want to play a bounce off of that back up and then look for that deeper correction. And it wouldn't be a surprise to find support coming back in at around that 1336 area where the market has been stalling out for a very long time. It wouldn't be a surprise at all to see a secondary bounce there once again. Over on crude oil, very nice rally to the upside, testing major levels of resistance, 66.12 and 66.33. Those are from the earlier swing highs back here in late February, early February, and holding them, both of them. We could not close above that area, and we are pushing back against it a little bit. So with that pushback that we're seeing here, sellers are not necessarily big. What I would consider this more to be are buyers that are taking profit. I don't think this is going to be, a monstrous rally into a complete turnaround and it goes falling all the way back down to 60. What this more looks like is just the buyers that have been long ever since these lows down here at around 60.20, 60.50, 61. They're starting to take some profit. In a perfect area, mind you, we had the channel low from here to here, copy that up to here, and that worked out for a little while, but then ended up becoming a midline, anchoring it to the next area. That gave us the next two highs. Worked out very nicely there. Now again, it's hard to want to sell against such a bullish flood of movement, but when you zoom into a faster time frame, like a 5-minute chart, or even a 15-minute chart sometimes, or faster, you might be able to find some scalping opportunities in those areas of interest. So the one thing that I am definitely keeping my eyes on is that this looks like a big bull spike, and it looks like we're trying to get a bull spike into a channel, and that usually is going to lead into its own 3 push wedge top. So you have 1, 2, 3. We haven't had that third one yet. So looking for this pullback to line up pretty nicely with not only the moving average, but the earlier midline support. Right around, 64.95, 65 in that area for bouncing back up towards those highs. Now, primary support below that's going to be at 64.55. It's only about a 45-cent drop below that area. Either way, though, in the overnight session, anticipating the selling to continue. Again, more buyers taking profit, causing that drop lower rather than sellers trying to sell it all the way back down. But looking for that pullback for buyers to buy into it in a couple, maybe a couple of candles, might be a day or two away yet. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, inventories can always cause a little bit of havoc as we go into midweek, but we'll wait and see here. But overnight session, anticipating a little bit more selling, or at least a range to slightly down, I guess is what we'll stick with. Over on the S&P, oh man, what a rally to the upside. The S&P had a monstrous rally, and that goes for all the indexes, not just the S&P, but we saw a across-the-board huge rally to the upside. Let me widen this channel out a little bit here. And they definitely were not playing around. Just an absolutely ludicrous amount of bullish volume coming in today. Now, is this going to be the bottom and we go flying back up to the highs? I don't necessarily think so. I think this is a situation that we are looking for sellers who are taking profit, right? We have this overall wider channel working really nicely, and they did hold it as support for a good 4 hours or so. And when they finally broke through, they even held it as resistance. And we have a situation where you have a bear channel to the downside, and they blew through the lows twice. Now, with that double press underneath the lows of the channel, a lot of times that leads into a big correction to the upside. Now, again, do I think that this is the low and we're going to go flying to all-time highs? No. I think this is simply just sellers that are taking profit on what you could consider, if you were a seller, kind of a gift from the markets. The sellers had, short opportunities building into here that we were talking about. We were specifically talking about selling right there. They're very happy with this move down. You have a huge bear trend to the downside, monstrous bear blow-off candle, even more continuation, and with this kind of leg down, you're anticipating a second leg, and they got it, in a spectacular fashion. It wasn't just, this little grind down to a double bottom and a reversal. No. This was a big smash to the downside, and I think a boatload of sellers took profit there, and that's where we're seeing this bounce back. So I don't think that the buyers are out of the woods yet. I think buyers are probably trying to pick the lows like they always do. But for the most part, this still looks very bearish to me. And right now, judging that we're looking for a bigger correction up, it'd make a lot more sense to see the market bounce back to other areas of interest first, and then look for sellers to jump back in. Now, those other areas of interest, that could be a lot of different things. We have a level of resistance at 26.87 1/4. They could be wanting to come back to the big round number and previous swing low. They kind of stack up on one another, and that also held previously there, and you can go back a little further. That held inside there, resistance, support. You get the idea. All coming around that big round number at 2,700. So it would make a lot of sense when you have this double blow off of the lows to see them overcorrect the other side. And likely, for me at least, an objective that makes sense right now is 2,700 up to around 2,725, that kind of zone that we have there of interest. It would make a lot of sense for the market to want to rally back up and overcorrect what they've done on the lows. That is a pretty big move up. We're not talking a small amount of movement here. Currently, the market's sitting at 26.56, and that would mean that over the next couple weeks, we're anticipating another 50 to 60 points to the upside. That's definitely no small move by any means. But in the grand scheme of things, it still looks pretty weak. We had that. Don't get too wrapped up in the fact that, oh man, today was huge. That's all you're going to see on the headlines tonight. I guarantee you. The Dow's up 700 points today. Oh man, the bear market's over. Don't count those chickens before the eggs have hatched, right? We still have a very strong pending bear move down. We still have a lot of unfinished business to do underneath us at around 2560s to 2520s, and I don't think that door is closed yet. I do think it's partially kind of tilted a little bit. You got buyers peeking through the cracks a little bit here, looking for a correction. I don't think we're done yet. So just play it a little bit safe going into the next couple days. But I am anticipating an overnight rally and probably the rally for the rest of the week, maybe going into next month up to around that 2700 to 2725 area before we start seeing the sellers really start pounding it back down again. So that's going to do it for the outlook. Now, in terms of the news for tomorrow, we don't have much at all. Not only is this week a holiday week, Friday is Good Friday, so the markets are closed, but we're also having back-to-back days of just no volume, no news. Monday didn't have any news really, going on. We didn't have much news on, this past week over Friday, and now going into tomorrow, we don't have really any news there either. So it's a pretty calm week in terms of news, and a lot of traders may be choosing to kind of get in early and take off because the weather is starting to get pretty nice in some of those poor northern states. Cough, Michigan, that we've been getting kind of pounded with some cold weather, or unfortunately for New York, snow. I think a lot of people might want to just duck out a little early this week, so be a little bit more careful this week than I think like you would be normally. Like we always say, though, it doesn't matter what market you're trading, always make a plan, trade the plan, follow those rules, and you'll be just fine. Until next time, we'll see y'all.